So in the previous video we looked at installing hard drives and downloading the Workbench disks and setting those up to run on our floppies. So I'm going to actually show you how to install Workbench to your hard drive permanently now. So we just click on our configuration on the left hand side, and I'm just going to remove all these disks from our media swap list and inject the two floppy drives. So we're starting from scratch really. I'm going to go and add the disks back into the media swap list just to show you how to do this, and they're in the FS-UAE floppies directory. So these are our disks. So we've got 5 or 6 of them here, so just open those. And also we can't put all 6 into our floppy drives, so I'm just going to put the install disk, because what we're going to be doing, installing 3.1, and the Workbench disk. I could fill the rest up, but these, because they're actually in the swap list, they'll be available for us to actually load via pressing F12. So let's start this now. Actually, let's open up my you won't be able to see the shortcut keys unless I place this on screen. So I place my screen key on screen so you can see the shortcut keys that I'll be pressing. So this is all good, and while hard drives are sitting here, Workbench space 3.1, programs and games. So those are just directories, and we hit start. So our emulator is starting now, and we'll just wait for this to start up. We should see our Workbench disks sitting there, and there's the Workbench space 3.1, which is our hard drive, and Workbench 3.1, which is our normal disk, and our install disk, which is our install floppy. So double click on install floppy and double click the install drawer, and as you can tell I'm English, so I'm going to use the English install. You can use whatever language you want here. Just double click the English, and this will start the installation for you. So we'll just wait for the instructions to come up on screen. So we'll proceed, and we'll install release 3.1, and I'm going to go intermediate user, and I'm going to go proceed with the installation. I'll see install for real, and it's going to go onto our Workbench space 3.1 partition, which is good. So click yes for that, and we're going to install this in the English language, which is good, and we don't need a printer. And we're going to select both American and British here for the actual keyboards, and I'm having real problems with the mouse speed. I'm going to have to adjust that. So there we go. So we'll proceed on that, and we're just checking and preparing the icons here. So we're starting the installations already. So this will start to copy the files over to a directory called C, and classes, our data types in there. And what will happen, it will go through to the individual directories in the Workbench 3.1, and then we'll start asking us for disks afterwards. So S and system in there, so I believe S is our, if I remember right, S is our startup directory. So here we go, please insert the locale, so we'll just hit F12 and find our locale disk, which we haven't actually installed yet. So I'm going to drop down using the arrow keys to DF2 and insert the locale disk. We don't have to hit proceed, that will just proceed normally. So now the extras disk, and we go through the same process of hitting F12 and going down to, I'm going to use DF3, disk drive 3 here, and select the extras disk and wait for that to be recognised. You can hear the actual disk being recognised in the background. This is loading the preferences now, so screen modes, pointers, sound, time, Workbench patterns all go in there, and some tools as well, the calculator, etc. And we'll get into how and what these are for and how to use them later. We need the fonts now. So we'll hit F12 again, and I'm going to eject one of these disks. Let's go to eject. Oh, actually, no, forget I said eject. Let's just click on one of those. There we go. So that's installing fonts now. So you probably see a few fonts that are familiar, such as Times and Topaz going in. So storage disks. So hit F12 again, and we'll select one of these drives, doesn't matter which, and we'll select the storage. Don't have to eject it, we'll just select it, and we'll just wait. You hear the noise of the disk in the background, and probably saw in the background the disk appeared on the actual Workbench desktop there. So we're copying over our key maps now and our tools. And now we're all done. So this is all installed, and we'll just proceed to reboot. Let's eject these as it says, and eject this one as well because it's a bootable disk. Workbench is a bootable disk, so we'll eject that. Let's eject them all. We're just following the instructions on the screen. We're just ejecting them so they don't boot from the actual floppy drives themselves. As you can see, they're all empty. And we hit proceed. And what will happen is that we should see the actual hard drive is now booted, and Workbench 3.1 hard drive is here now. So we can double click on this hard drive, and that's it. 3.1 is installed. You may want to change some of the preferences. We'll get into that later. But as you can see, utilities is there. Double click on our clock, and the clock is correct because it takes it from the internal clock on our host system. Normally with Amigas you have to actually buy a separate clock and install that. This is all good. So if we access the Workbench drop down and we can go about, we can see the Kickstart version sitting there and the Workbench version. And I'm using 3.1, it says 4.0 on this, so that's actually the version number of the chip itself, I believe. What else can I show you in here? Actually, let's go into Workbench. So double click on that and go into Tools. And we will actually show, I'm going to show you the config now to show you what chip is being used. So if we look here, we can actually see 8 megabytes of memory that's installed that we set up in previous videos. Got the fast RAM there, 8 megs, the chip RAM 2 megs, and also the processor you can see at the top there. Or is it? Oh, it's at the top there, yeah. So that processor that there says 6020, that's one we installed. We can see all our boards are all sitting there. So this will change when we actually change our config, and I'll actually show you that in a minute. Let's close these tools down and hit F12, and what I'm going to do is just reset the system, and I am going to jump to the where is it? That's on home, that's it, and we'll pick a different processor. No, it's not actually on home. So we've got 68020 CPU set there. There's the CPU, so it's on the actual additional settings, and we're going to drop down to 6840. I'm going to show you how you can just change your settings, and it will just work straight out of the box. So we've got a little warning message down the bottom there. We don't have to worry about that for the time being. I'm just showing you how changing the CPU will not affect the actual Workbench install. So jump back to, I was in Tools, wasn't it? So jump into Tools and go to Show Config. And you can see that the CPU has now changed to a 68040 with a 68040 FPU there as well, and that's why we got that MMU message that came up. Okay, so that concludes our Workbench installation. Additional videos now will be actually configuring Workbench, playing games, etc., and anything that I find that could be useful for you as a viewer to actually enjoy your Amiga emulation to the full.